stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You got the message from Dan.
This is the Preble Town Board meeting of June 9th, 2025. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections to the May minutes?
Make a motion to accept the May minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Jen?
Dog control report, 2 strays picked up, 1 was adopted, the other was returned to the owner, and there was a dog bite incident in Preble. Justice report, May fines collected, $5,553.
Thanks, Jen. Highway report, Jeff?
A written copy in front of you, I'll just hit some high points. As of May 27th, our FEMA project we've been working on since August of 2021, the physical work is done. There's a couple more steps we gotta go through with FEMA to get, the closeout paperwork done, but that's already been started. Barton LaJudas, we sent the architectural engineering agreement for the Curry Road Bridge project. Don and I went over a lot of it. He had some questions. I shot them to Brian Tremblay from Barton LaJudas. I think we hammered through that pretty good where I think we're comfortable with it. I also talked to Jeff Smith from Tompkins County Highway. I had one question that was more on the municipal side, and he answered that for us. I think he cleared that up. If possible, I'd like to get some motion on that tonight so we can move that project along. Plow contract in Portland County, Portland County added about 18 or 20 pages to the previous contract. There's a lot of legalese in there, so we're working through that. We're trying to compare the old to the new. That's a work in progress. Everything else is pretty much, any questions on what's on there? I'll try to fill in the.
Yeah, Jeff, I just want to comment on the plow contract.
Yeah.
The shared services. Our contract, the last contract we had seemed to have worked out pretty well, right? It was pretty simple and to the point. And, Cortland County wants to make all kinds of changes and, convolute it in different ways. And can't we request to go back to the format of the old contract with maybe the numbers change? And,
Yep.
And
And I'm not against that, and I'm sure Don isn't either. We hammered that out. We went through this 2019, I think, and then we did a 2-year extension. And to be clear, it's not a money maker. It's dependent on weather. There's years we might make a few bucks, and there's years that we lose. It's more of a convenience for our residents and the county. The county, it allows the county to pick up some state miles, which they get paid much more than this. So yeah, this isn't a cast in stone at this point by any means. And the town of Homer, they chose this year not to renew.
what does that tell us?
Yeah. This is one of those.
I think we have to communicate to the county that we're not like an outside contractor or a vendor or something, that all these clauses and bells and whistles have to be in there. We're all one county and we're all helping each other. And maybe it should be as simple as possible. And, it's worked for the last 6 years or so. And, why does it have to be?
Contracts were even shorter.
Yeah.
They started as discussing the county plow contracts. But the earlier contracts, I want to say, may have been under 10 pages. And then they kept getting to, I don't know what they are now. It's significantly more. Yeah. So, I don't know.
Well, I would just put my 2 cents in and say, we don't have to accept the current contract. The board can say, let's revert back to the model of the old contract and change the numbers, however the numbers work out.
Yeah. I'm not against that.
I'll contact them and see what the reaction is.
Okay.
No.
Huh?
No.
Any other questions?
Okay, so you had mentioned, Barton LaJudas, agreement, Curry Road, that we have to make a motion.
If we could make a motion, resolution to, for you to be able to sign that contract, that's.
And you and Don talked about it.
Yes.
This all worked out? Okay, so we need a motion to, what's the wording here?
To give you authority to execute the contract for the Curry Road project
Okay.
with Barton and LaJudas.
So-
It's their engineering contract.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to, if anyone wants to review it beforehand, it's
Mhm.
37-page, speaking of agreements, but it's got meat and potatoes in there about the project, what Barton and LaJudas will provide. They've got a set dollar amount,
Mm-hmm.
but of course, there's always outs if there's extras, something unknown discovered in the course of the project.
Okay,
And to my knowledge, we cannot seek reimbursements for the expenses for the project till that contract is signed, I believe.
Correct, that's the other catch too, it's any work done till that's signed and given to the state for their approval.
State has to approve it.
And then that's when the clock starts, when we can start seeking reimbursements for the project.
okay, so we need a motion to allow the supervisor of the town of Preble to sign the contract for the Curry Road project. Somebody could say so moved.
Someone,
Second.
All in favor?
All right.
Okay, so I'll get with you at the end of the meeting, Jeff, on that.
Thank you.
Okay, moving along here, recreation. Dave, do you have anything for us?
This is fully good. In between nights.
Yeah, yeah.
you want me to-
Keeping up with the grass through this rain?
It's a challenge.
Yeah,
Should we bring it up now?
Yeah, part of
Not doing
recreation.
too bad.
okay.
Okay,
County
part of-
legislature?
Oh, and part of the recreation.
Yeah.
I went to get the check on that steel for doing the bathrooms down there. And Essex Steel, their curvature and their steel is different.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fab roll down there. I found Alpine Metal Roofing. I called them up, went down, figured everything I needed, and the whole quote for to buy the steel from was $268.25.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that you have 3 quotes?
No, just the one. I just called them.
One quote? Okay.
And that's low enough, so it won't matter, right?
What is our?
$268.
It's not free, it should be two verbal for that verbal now. Get one other.
2 quotes? We need one more quote.
Just one more verbal. for
Okay.
that verbal
All right, so if you can get one more quote
now.
for
It's
us,
right on the edge,
yeah,
that's up to the board, but
just one more to compare with, and
Okay.
you can email me or call me on that, and we could probably agree on this, that when Dave gets the other quote, whatever quote is lower, we can go ahead with it. We can make a motion now. that-
Might not find one with the correct,
It was fab. I think it's the same stuff.
same stuff.
Like Tully Building has.
Just, oh, do they?
Yeah.
So make a motion for Dave to purchase whatever the lower quote is.
For the repair
Get it
for
ordered.
that's for the bathroom, for the
Yep.
park, right? Okay.
Mm.
So, need a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried? Okay. So if you could just email me
Yep.
when you find out, and just so there's a record of it.
Yeah.
And then once you do that, you can go ahead and order it.
Yeah, I just got, what I'll have to do is get one of those sheets for the tax exempt.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right, county legislature, Kevin,
How you doing?
good?
So I guess because I came in the middle.
sorry.
So is it really just the size of the contract that you're complaining about?
Well, it's
It's
not
a
just
standard-
form, but there's,
But they're municipalities, and I get it.
yeah, it's really designed for private contractors.
No, I understand.
And I guess the point was, if you look at the one from 2019, actually, I think that it may have been,
Karen Howe was one of the ones that developed the nasty 40-page document. And when I was town supervisor for Scott, we complained about it. Pat Snyder was one of them. you know, he was our attorney and said, a lot of this jargon doesn't even apply because we're a municipality. So
Right,
that's what you're complaining about?
yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's got
Okay.
like a competitive bid rider in there. It's got, you know, no conflict of interest rider. You know, it's just maybe a lot of stuff that maybe really isn't applicable to ours. And again, we did have a contract that seemed to work with 2 additional renewals that actually covered 6 years, with the original 2 years and then a couple of renewals. I mean, okay, so if there's been some changes from the county standpoint that they need to add to it, okay, then add to that. The thinking is, but you know, maybe they've got good reason for all that. I have not talked to anyone yet. And it actually came from the highway department. It didn't come from county attorney's office.
Right, but the county attorney reviews them.
Okay, well,
Anyway,
you know,
so I'm more than happy to talk about this tomorrow. We can do that. I mean, we can just have, I mean, we deal with every municipality anyway, so it seems to me this is pretty basic. Have a contract for municipalities and then everybody else.
it would,
Right?
it would
Doesn't that
seem
sound right?
a little bit different category
Yeah,
of provider.
yeah. Because you guys have different coverage and anything, liability, stuff like that, you're good anyway.
Yeah, I'll give you another example. I mean, I don't have the contracts in front of me, but if the paragraph regarding what insurance we've got to provide was this much in the original, now it's maybe 2 pages or something. It's like, and I haven't waded through all the ins and outs of it, but there's a lot more there. And I was telling Jeff, we've got to run that by our insurer because there's some language in there that is not, I don't know why, actually what some of it means for us and for our insurer. So we, you know, it's more than just the length.
Okay. All right, but we can talk. We'll
Yeah,
talk
we can
about it
work it
tomorrow
through. Okay.
and see what we can do for that. So that's a simple one. I call that simple. Don't you?
I'm
Yeah.
for it.
Yeah, so life is good. Well, he did. Good. So, as probably, I hope everybody knows, is that, last month we merged the highway and building and grounds committee together to really take a look at efficiencies and all that stuff that we could make. We did find where we can, and with some cost savings. So what we are now doing tomorrow, is that we are merging both departments together. And then we're gonna have a public works, Department of Public Works. So, that's one of the bigger things we have. County administrator search. So we ended up, hiring an outside recruiter, for that. And they are now going out to, bring in the right people for us to do it, for a county administrator. We're not rushing this, because we really wanted one to really move Cortland County forward. So is what it is, right? So by default, I'm the county administrator for now. Hope to God they'll get that out of here. And we'll get the right person for that. Probably want to know about sales tax, right? So sales tax. So we've been in negotiations with the city of Portland. Probably a good almost 6 months now. And then Kathy Bischoff is a legislator for the city. Found out during the agenda that she was looking at that the city was putting in a home rule for 1%, to be able to take that 1% in within the city. We had some issue with that because if people don't know, so you have 8% sales tax. 4% of that is the state of New York. The other 4% is Cortland County. Cortland County really has 3%. And then that 1% we have to do home rule and request every other year through the assembly, through the state for their approval. That's what gives us a floor. Well, the city decided that they were gonna negotiate with us face value, and actually what they were doing on the other end was putting in a home rule request for 1%. The reason being is because if they can get the full 1% within the city, the next step that they were gonna do was to preempt. And do a preemption, they were preempting on the other 3%. What that means is that they are for a preemption, then they get 1.5% of all the tax in the within the city limits, plus their additional 1% that they get all of. So it was kind of like a blindside to the county, who we thought we were negotiating in good faith. So last month, we were going to put the sales tax agreement through until this happened, and then we stopped it. So Thursday, we're having a special legislative session to rescind our negotiations with the city. And then what that does is that stops them from going to the state for the 1%, because we're in a contract, and the contract is still for 4 years. So we are now back to square one looking at this. What does this mean for the municipalities? And I know it's recorded, it's up in the air, but it may be that the municipalities will do another year as they did this year, where you're still getting the same percentages, same numbers, same everything. Just because it's starting to get late again, we have municipalities that take that sales tax and give it back to the county to offset either their town taxes, their county taxes, or a percentage of both. So, and they need to do that for their budget. So it does put municipalities, in a kind of like in a crunch when it comes to that. So right now, we are nowhere near anything. What it did do was that our assembly member, Anna Kellis, did talk to her today, and she's the one that has to sponsor the bill to go forward. And she said she was not going to until, for this session, because we feel that the city in doing this will still lose about 2 to 3 million in sales tax. So they think that they're going to do like 12 million in this, but we know that with our numbers and talking with the state that they pretty much won't be able to do that. So like I said, that's where we're at with this. So we will, I know Melanie is going to be working with Mike Parks. Mike Parks is getting a group of municipalities together to talk about the IDA and the VDC. And then Mike Parks invited me to talk to the municipalities at that time to just to give everybody an update, on that sales tax.
So you're saying that a new sales tax plan is not going to go into effect until 2027?
Probably.
Okay. So for the next year, things will be as they have been.
Yeah, unless something changes.
As of right now.
As of right now.
Okay.
What this does, in a way, it does prepare or give some time for the municipalities, to, take that funding and, I don't know, tuck it away, do whatever you do for it. But
So my next question is, if the city is angling for more, more higher percentage, then that money has to come out of somewhere. So it's going to come out of the towns and the county. if you do what they want you to do.
Well, honestly, what it does is sours the negotiations. I'll be honest with you. You know, I thought we had a working relationship that was halfway decent. You know, does anybody know that, like the Apex site, Cooper Tools, it was all cleaned out. I mean, the county, we ended up allowing them and giving them, I think it was like 325,000 in free tipping fee that we did because we were trying to work with them. And, you know, it was this type of stuff that kind of soured negotiations. So.
Okay. Anybody else have questions?
Yeah, I do that. So what's gonna go on with that, all the Contentos property the county bought a few years back? That's junkyard used to be down there.
The one going just outside of
Yeah, right on the other side of the river there.
Homer?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't own it.
You don't? Oh, you do.
No, I think the village.
Does it now?
IDA BDC
IDA,
owns
yeah,
that.
it's like, I thought it was IDA, yeah.
We worked with FEMA, they just received an estimate in the last week about $750,000 they'll get for that storm damage. It was done in July of '24, so imagine that process. Tim Buell has been hired as the engineer from the Village of Homer, and the anticipation was when you could actually access that piece of land, which is the only access point, then the IDA BDC would transfer that to the village. So just trying to figure out, but in the meantime, it looks like maybe we'll be able to get some monies for that. So,
All right, thanks.
Yep. Anything more from the county? That's about it. Okay. Thanks, Kevin. All right, so Jen?
Zoning and code enforcement may report. 0 building permits, 55 miles traveled. 7 building inspections, 36 hours worked, 1 fire inspection, 2 complaint follow-ups, and 10 telephone inquiries. The next planning board meeting is June 25th at 7 p.m. The next ZBA meeting is July 3rd at 7 p.m.
Okay, thanks, Jen. And historian, Jay Curry, you're up.
So, Saturday, a bunch of the county historians came up and we all had a nice little meeting here. We're all trying to get together and trade ideas and thoughts and all that stuff, but it was a good day anyways. So, like I said, there was 9 of us. But, the other topic is, I'm starting to put some stuff down in the basement, and I'd like to get a dehumidifier down there. I looked at their town's procurement policy there, so I'm working on, I have 1 quote already, it's $1,100, I think, and I'm working on getting another, just so that things aren't getting moldy down there. I think it was about a year and a half ago, I went down there and digging around through the corner over there and found a bunch of archives that were, you know, pretty moldy and stuff like that.
So what kind of dehumidifiers are you talking about? What size?
It would be just 1 dehumidifier. The Cortland County Historical Society has 3 of them that they've had for like 5 years, and they've been virtually maintenance free so far. So that's the thing. I mean, you go down to Walmart, you're gonna replace them every 2 years, not to mention the time going down and emptying them out and all that sort of stuff. So,
Right. So you have a system where they're gonna drain outside?
yes. Yeah.
And who is the quote from?
I got one from Woodford right now, and the other one will be from Halco, I believe. They will get back to me. So
Okay. How many quotes do we need on that? 2. Okay. So are you waiting for anything, or you have the numbers?
I have 1 set of numbers. I think it came in a little over $1,100.
Okay, so we need to get the other numbers.
We just want to make a motion like.
We can make a motion. I don't think getting a dehumidifier is a big issue for us. It's something we need to do for the building and for the records.
Yeah, especially this time of year.
Yeah.
Especially this year with all the rain we've had.
So we can make a motion for Jay to order a dehumidifier after he gets the second set of numbers. And Jay, if you could just email me those numbers when you get them.
Okay.
just so I have a record of them.
I have a hard copy right up there, so I can do
Okay.
that, so.
So it wouldn't be any higher than what he's got right now.
Correct. Right. And that's $1,100, right?
It'd be, it's 11, so under 12 anyways.
Okay.
Grab it for you.
Okay.
And I did-
Can make a motion to spend up to 1,200 or something. I don't know.
No, he's got the estimate right
Yeah,
there.
that's,
11, okay, it's 18, it's 1,889.67.
Oh,
So that's it's a little bit higher than what you,
yeah,
Said-
yeah, I was shooting from the hip there,
yeah,
so.
yeah, okay, so, $1,889.67 or less for a dehumidifier system for the basement. So we need a motion to allow Jay to order that dehumidifier, with this being the high price.
Make a motion for Jay to purchase the humidifier not to exceed $1,889.67.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried?
Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay. Anything else, Jay?
I'm good.
Okay, good. Thanks for all the work you do.
Oh, thank you.
Jen?
Town clerk fees collected in May, $5,536. Dispersed $5,529 to the town of Preble and $7 to New York State Ag and Markets.
Thanks, Jen. Unfinished business. We've got the post office. Somebody from the post office who works for a private contractor to take care of the leases called here and talked, I guess left a message on the machine, Jen?
Yes.
Yeah, and I tried calling him back today and he never responded to me so far. So they're kind of looking for an answer. They're not pressing too hard yet, but they're looking for an answer for the post office. So we don't have to do anything right now, but it's just something for us to keep in mind. Landscaping of Don, did you have something? Okay.
No.
Landscaping of the town hall. I just want to commend Dave for taking the lead on that, and I want to recognize him for his work. He spent a lot of hours out there raking, pulling weeds, putting down new mulch and everything, and saving the town at least $3,000 to have somebody else do it. So, Dave, thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Next item on unfinished business is short-term rental litigation. Don, if you could give us a summary on where things sit right now, what the status of it is.
Sure, there was what's called a return date last Wednesday, June 4, where attorneys showed up and they had what's called oral argument, and it's kind of interesting. I was there for a good portion of it. I think the attorneys have a couple weeks to submit additional material if they choose to, and thereafter you're going to get a decision from the judge. It's anyone's guess when you get a decision. It could be shortly thereafter, it could be several weeks. There's work to be done by a judge and the judge's clerk to research and write a decision. It's not an easy task, and so it can take some time for that to occur. But that's what the expected next step would be.
So we might have more information next month.
Yep.
At next month's
Yep,
meeting.
absolutely.
Okay. Good. Thanks, Don.
Yep.
New business. Cortland Standard is up and running again under new ownership. So we need to make a motion to make the Cortland Standard our newspaper of record once again. Yes?
Yeah, the only reason why I'm saying this is the county was gonna do it, but they have not put legal notices in properly. And if any at all. So as the county, we're waiting, we're putting our legal notices in
Syracuse.
one that we did, and there.
just to see how they do, and it's been failing. So,
Table it for a month.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm just telling you,
No, I mean,
You know,
you wouldn't know
it's good.
until you do it.
yeah, so,
I talked to the managing editor at the Portland Standard, and he admits that they're still trying to get the kinks out of this, and get running in a regular format. And so they're working pretty hard at ironing out all the wrinkles in
yeah,
the system right now.
we're still giving them the business.
Mhm.
It's just that we are not relying on it because legal notices, are legal. And messing those up, hurts the person or the municipalities.
Mhm.
So that's why we're holding, give them another month or so to.
So maybe we should take the county's lead and,
Table it.
and
Yeah.
follow
that-
them.
Just wanted to put it there. for
Okay.
you.
So put it on next
I
month's
think,
agenda.
yeah, we'll put it on next month's agenda, yeah. Okay, next item, Toma Development. We have an opportunity to apply for another block grant, which the last time we did one was probably 15 or 16 years ago. And it was, I would say, successful. It helped the residents of our town to fix up their houses and improve their properties, and they had to meet certain income guidelines to do that. So we have somebody from Toma Development here tonight to give us a little bit of an overview on how we can do this again this time.
Not just somebody.
Good evening, Dan Ellis from Toma Development. Yeah, just a basic overview. As you mentioned, you've had a similar grant before. I think you've taken advantage of housing rehab funding, as well as economic development funds. So this specifically is the housing rehab program. I did bring you a flyer. This is for the city of Cortland, but just to share with the board. It's got some basic information on the program, and it does have the current year's income limits listed in there. So resident eligibility. One more. Yep. So the resident eligibility is based on the household income. So if you look at that little chart right there, that goes across the one family house eligible if their income is under 51,650, and then it goes across all the way to 8-family home. But just to kind of get to the basics of the program, you're eligible to apply for up to $750,000. That's through the Community Development Block Grant. That used to be capped at 500,000. 2 years ago, they changed that, raised it up to 750 per municipality. The eligible use is rehabilitation of owner-occupied, and the town would be going after single-family owner-occupied funding. So the home has to be occupied by the owner, who is of low to moderate income. And low to moderate income is 80% of the county median. So those are those numbers that you see in that chart again right there. Typical program, you're going to see anywhere between 12 and 16 homes that will be rehabilitated. It totally depends on each individual project budget. Some projects, a home may need some more investment. So those projects obviously take a little bit more funding out of the program. But typically you're going to see a project on average, you're in the $30,000 to $35,000 range for housing rehab cost. That can go up to 60 or 70 depending on the condition of the home. So that's kind of where your budget and the number of homes you can change can fluctuate per program. Types of work that's eligible, we're looking at you can do new roofs, electrical upgrades, plumbing, HVAC. You can put new porches. You see a lot of older homes have porches that are kind of leaning a little bit. The deck leans. You can replace decks, flooring, all that good stuff. No luxury items, so we can't put in like granite countertops and high-end items like that, but the basics that you need to upgrade a home to what they call housing quality standards to make it standard as opposed to substandard. There's no repayment for the homeowner, which is the really nice thing about this program. The caveat is that they remain in the house for 5 years as their primary residence. Once the 5 years is up, the town gets rid of the lien on the property, so they own it free and clear after that.
And does it get prorated if the homeowner sells before 5 years?
Yes, so if the homeowner sells, or something happens, it's not their primary residence, it is prorated, so it's a deferred payment loan, so every month, what's owed on the loan, deferred loan, decreases. So they sell it 2 years into the program, they get credit for 24 months, whatever that percentage ends up being. There is money in the program for admin services, so that doesn't cost the town anything. You can hire a consultant to run the program for you once the funding is available. That's just a very quick glossing over the program, but I'm happy to take any questions.
Okay, so Rich sent me a letter.
Yep.
A proposal letter,
Yes.
and he quoted $7,500 for the town to go ahead and apply for this grant.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess there's a couple questions that I have. One is that if for some reason we don't get the grant, because is it the federal government that decides this or the state?
It's federal funding from HUD, but it goes through the State Office of Community Renewal.
Okay,
we
so
apply
if
to
the state does not grant us this program, then what happens to the $7,500 we pay you?
I wish I could give it back to you.
That's my point.
Yeah, that's the grant writing fee. Typically, the way we work this, if an application isn't successful the first time around, we charge a significantly reduced fee the second year around. Typically, it's like $1,000 or $1,500 to do a resubmission. Obviously, I can't guarantee you success your first shot, but the last, I want to say 3 to 4 years, our success rate has been 100%. So, like I said, I can't guarantee that.
Right. Okay, so my next question is, if we go ahead with this grant and pay the $7,500, throughout the life of administering that grant, are there any other expenses incurred by the town?
Any other expenses? Nothing that wouldn't be a project expense that would be charged back to the grant.
Right.
I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Okay, so we wouldn't be billed for anything in addition?
No, there's 18% of the grant can be reserved for the admin services, and then there are specific costs, like soft costs, that can be charged back to each individual project, and that's a grant expense. So there would be filing fees for deferred payment loan lien that gets filed. But those are all charged back to the grant. I can't think of anything that would be expense to the town after that.
And then Rich also mentioned to me on the phone that I guess with the Trump administration, some of this money is kind of drying up in the future.
Yeah.
Looking out in the future, and so he urged me that if we wanted to do this, to kind of get this in as soon as possible.
Yeah, that's the thing we're kind of up in the air. We know there's funding this year. It's already been appropriated. The state has the funding, but the executive recommended budget out of the executive branch, the federal level, is actually trying to cut the CDBG program completely out of the federal budget. So it's a fairly well received program at the federal level. There's a lot of cities and municipalities, country, nationwide, that take advantage of this program. So we don't really know what's going to happen beyond this year, but we do know that there's definitely funding for this round. But it could be gone next year, or it could be a reduced funding.
Right. Anybody have any questions to Dan? Some of us have been on the board during those years that we had this program. I know, Dave, you have. Remember what it was like. We can, everybody has a copy of this too, right?
How much funding did we get last time?
We got $500,000.
We
used all of it.
maxed out what they
Yeah.
all had.
Yeah.
So people took advantage of the program.
Yeah.
And it's all up to the homeowner, right? They come in, once we get the funding, they come in and say, hey.
Yeah, the homeowner would come in and apply for it, and then
And the homeowner has to actually go out and get 3 bids on a project, right? With contractors.
Yeah, so once the funding is made available, the grant's awarded, whoever the consultant is that's administering the program for you will market the program, and they'll actually solicit homeowners for the program to
Mhm.
participate. And the consultant typically goes out and, assesses the home and qualifies the applicants and all of that.
Mhm.
So there's,
But how about bidding for the contract?
yeah,
Does the
yeah.
homeowner do that, or do you?
The
that.
consultant assists the homeowner. Typically,
Okay.
the consultant does the bidding,
Mhm.
but the homeowner, picks the contractors that they would like to bid the project, and the contract is between the homeowner and the contractor.
Right,
But the consultant would kind of shepherd that process
right.
through.
right. Any questions from board members? We can sign this tonight, or we can wait till next month and we can think about it.
Yeah, what's the timeline on submitting?
They are due July 31st this year. So that was
Okay.
just announced 2 weeks ago, I think,
Okay.
3 weeks ago.
So we could wait till next month if we want. But if we don't have any pressing concerns, we could apply right now.
Wait a month and see how many people are interested.
I will say I'm a little biased here, but my 2 cents. The sooner you get started, the better, because if we're writing this, we're going to have to go out and do an income survey. So we're going to have to survey every homeowner of a single family home for their income to justify the need for the community. So if you do hire us, we're probably going to start working on this tomorrow
Mhm.
because the timeline is so tight.
Dan,
Just
do they
need-
have to have a pro-housing resolution back?
They do not. So for community development block grants, surprisingly enough, they don't have to yet. So.
And how would you do that survey?
So we'd probably start by contacting Real Property Service, and we'd search out all the codes for a single family, and then typically Real Property gives us all the addresses, and we do a mailing. We have a survey that we use for every community.
Mhm.
We put a cover letter on it from the town,
Mhm.
and we use that information to select some sample properties so that we can justify the need even further for the grant.
What kind of response do you normally get on a survey like that?
It's hard to say. I mean, the survey is not necessarily required. We do it because you're going to gain extra points with the funding agency if you do it.
Mhm.
But I mean, anywhere near 20% response is a
Mhm.
success, honestly,
Right.
for a big survey like that.
Okay. Okay. Well, this was successful the last time we did it, and there's a little bit of work on the town's part of record keeping and working with TOMA in this way. But it would benefit the people of the town. Yeah. So I would recommend going ahead unless anyone has any reservations about it.
Yeah, I don't know why we wouldn't want to do it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, so somebody want to make a motion for the supervisor to sign this agreement?
I'll make a motion for the supervisors to sign the agreement with Thelma for the going ahead with the grant writing for the block grant application.
Need a second on it?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Right.
Carried? Okay, so I'll sign this for you.
I've got an original here. I don't know if that's an
Original,
original or
okay.
not.
Okay. Everything's okay, Don? Did you
Yeah.
read through it?
Yeah, it looks good.
Okay, just checking.
Pretty basic.
Don't like to sign anything without Don's approval.
Yeah, I know
Well-
how that works.
Oh, wait a minute, yeah.
Full disclosure, my wife worked at Toma. She,
Yeah, there you
she
go.
retired a year and a half ago, but she did work there. She done a little per diem since. And actually, Dan worked in our office at one time.
I
so-
did. That's right.
Yeah.
It's 10 years ago. I can't believe that.
Yeah. And Dan's attorney for town of Homer,
Date,
right?
What's today's
Homer
date?
and Virgil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
9th, isn't it?
Today's the 9th.
Right, okay.
Well, it's pretty straightforward. I mean, they're gonna do the work, Jim. We
Right.
write the check, they do the work.
Right.
Want a copy of that?
Yeah, we should get a copy of that. Any other questions for Dan? Okay. Dan, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah,
Well, we're trying to get out of there.
No, I got lucky. The truck behind me moved, so I was able to get out. I panicked for a second.
okay. Okay, monies received, we received $779 from USCS. We received $1,771.89 from Northeast Transformers. We received $4,997.11 from Portland County Mortgage Tax. And we received $154,385.58 for first quarter sales tax from Portland County. This time we need to make a motion to pay the general fund vouchers.
Make a motion to pay general fund vouchers abstracts number 6, numbers 101 to 125 totaling $21,590.50.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. Need to make a motion to pay the highway fund vouchers.
I'll make a motion to pay the highway fund vouchers abstract number 6, numbers 40 to 48 totaling $120,780.95.
Sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Carried. At this time, we would like to open up the meeting for public comment, questions, or anything you want to talk about? From the public?
The only thing I want to bring up, and because my husband's on the board and also gets paid by the town, the tax problem that they're having, where they weren't filed. I did taxes for a company for over 25 years, and you don't file just one person at a time. You file the group. Now, with her not having her taxes filed, and the federal government.
Are you talking about Jerry Lynn?
Mhm.
Okay.
I guarantee all of you guys that have been paid by the county or by the Preble, they're not in there either. Just to let you know, because you file 1-3 W-3 for the whole group. You don't do individual ones. She was the only one to get picked, but I'm guessing that if hers didn't go through, nobody's did. Just to forewarn you.
I haven't had any issues with it.
Well, they don't check it.
Yeah. I can talk to Gina about that.
Yeah, I would.
And I can mention the comment came from you and that you're questioning it. And I can just give her a summary of what you told me and see what she says. Okay. Anybody else? Anything? Okay. If nobody has any other questions or comments, then we can adjourn the meeting. We need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
You should get an automatic model now that rotates to the side.
I know,
source to
I
the
know.
sound. They
We're
gotta
just
be
way
making that
behind
come out.
technology.
Jeez.
I know it.
You're gonna get
Do it
perfect
manually.
Oops.
So you got any trips planned for the RV?
Kids do.
We're
We're waiting to see whether we can get our hay done first.